Hey scrapbook friends, it's Nicole and I'm here with my very first scrapbooks of my very first Disney World trip from 1997. I was scrapbooking these probably right around the time that I was introduced to Creative Memories. If you have followed my channel for a while, you know that I started scrapbooking in 8.5 by 11 top loading pages, and I continued that for a couple of years after I was introduced to CM. And so I'm doing one of my way old throwbacks. I think it's good for you to see how I started, and hopefully that will make you realize that you're probably, whatever point you're at, you're probably way better than I was when I started scrapbooking, and there's, you know, nowhere to go but up. So this is 2 volumes. We'll see if I can make it through it in one manageable chunk of video. But we'll start with volume 1. And again, these are just 3-ring binders from, you know, Walmart or something, and some little labels I stuck on. I told you my last throwback album flip through video that I really would love to redo these. My husband feels like I should not because it's part of my story. And so someday when I'm completely caught up in my scrapbooking, we might re-examine the question. But as for now, I'm not going to redo them. So, oh look, some Disney dollars. I have not actually looked at these albums in a really long time. I just pulled them off my shelf tonight to show them to you. So we're kind of going to be going through them together. Hopefully there won't be any big surprises in here. So this was our first trip. It was the 25th anniversary of Walt Disney World. So we have the little 25 on our tickets, and I used a lot of the park maps to enhance my album. I didn't have a lot of scrapbooking supplies back in these days. I had some letter stickers and all those Fiskars kind of fancy scissors, and that's about it. And so you see a lot of these are just solid color, a little bit of journaling, mostly pictures. I talked about how we had this fun countdown chart. I'd forgotten about that. We left at 5:30 in the morning. Here we are in the car on our way down there. Some pictures from the Magic Kingdom. We stayed at Shades of Green, which is the military hotel down there. And this is before they added the other wing. If you've stayed at Shades of Green now, this is like the old part, and now there's like a whole huge other section, but this is all before that. So we got there the first day. We had time to play in the pool just outside our room. I thought this was just the bee's knees with this sticker border. This might have actually been a Creative Memories idea. These are Mrs. Grossman stickers. I may very well have copied this from a CM layout idea. I did have a wonderful Creative Memories consultant in those days who let me come to her crops, didn't care what brand of scrapbooks I was using, was just really glad that I was scrapbooking, and I've really tried to emulate her, because if it were not for her and her welcoming me in the way she did, I would not be where I am today with Creative Memories, or probably with my own scrapbooking. So here we go, some pool. I don't know if I had a template. I might have just hand cut some of these. I can see my circles are a little off. This was before even the custom cutting system that I was doing this. We were living in Alabama, South Alabama at that time. Here's another border, probably from CM, and some of these die cuts. Not a lot of journaling. I was not real strong in journaling in those early days of scrapbooking, but still really cute pictures. We had an underwater camera, had a lot of fun with it. I have no idea what's supposed to be in this page or why they're not together. So we walked over to the board. Oh, it says our room wasn't ready, so we went over to the boardwalk. Most of the attractions don't open until after dark, but we did get to walk around and get a sneak peek at World Showcase. So I walked around there. Here's a little photo license plate that attracted me as a scrapbooker. These were the old CM die-cut alphabet stickers, or alphabet die-cut letters, and I traced them on whatever this pattern paper was to have a little bit of variety. We were handicapped in those days with what we had to choose from. So here we go. This is our first day, riding the bus to the Transportation Ticket Center. This is my sister Kim, who was on the trip with us. Me, my daughter, Katie, and Alex. I think they were like 9 and 11 at that time. Here's our little picture on the monorail, which I think it was a selfie in the pre-cell phone days. This kind of looks selfie-esque, but it's a little bit blurry. So that was the downside to selfies back then. So this is the year, the infamous year that they had turned the castle into a birthday cake. And this is our first ever, you know, Disney. It was not PhotoPass then. I had to like pay for and carry around the actual picture when it came in this little frame. But this is our family's first Disney trip together, was with the frame. And it looks like what I did was I put it behind on a separate paper. So I didn't cut the photo. I put it behind this frame, which is nice because I have a plan that I want to do with copies of all our old Disney pictures. Now it'll be easy for me to pull that out. All right, somebody suggested that I save the park map. And looking back now, I'm really glad I did. I didn't know that I was going to become a Disney freak. And this was our trip of a lifetime, you know. We saved our money. This was going to be it. And who knew that this was just going to be trip one of many, many trips. So a few little group photos, another one with the castle, the birthday cake castle. This paper was from a book of Disney scrapbook papers. I believe it was from hot off the press. One of the few scrapbook supplies that I had back in the day. I did a little silhouette cutting, and then I even, you know, fussy cut some little characters to fill in this extra space because I didn't have any stickers or anything like that. Not a speck of journaling. Small World, again, this paper is probably from there. Some little fussy cutting, lots of those decorative scissors, a little bit more journaling. I said, hooray for early entry days. There were no lines. We had the whole boat to ourselves. Those were the days. All right, here's the Sword in the Stone. We've been trying since 1997 to pull that sword out, have not succeeded. And I did the, whatever the words are on here, whoso pulleth out this sword from the stone and anvil is right was king born of all England. And there's a little bit of a red line on here, pink line, and it's with one of those wavelengths rulers, the colored fancy edge tracing rulers CM used to have. So obviously I had been doing a little bit with CM, just not enough to switch to their albums. Mickey's Toontown Fair. I probably had about 40 pair of these decorative scissors. I had the corner scissors. I had a lot of fun playing with those scissors. It is such a different style of scrapbooking, but it was probably faster, really, because I didn't have to think about anything except what color background paper I was going to use. Here we go, Goofy's Barnstormer. Looking back at this now, 20-something years later, I really want to go over this with a darker color pen. Not going to. Want a journal? Probably not going to. But, yeah. So here, this was fun. This is when it was the flight school one, and it said Fido's Fearless Flight School. This, my husband was a flight school instructor at Fort Rucker in Alabama South Alabama, when we went to this trip. So that was a fun picture to take. Minnie's house had to be on pink. This picture right here in Minnie's house is actually the one we used that year for our Christmas card. And this Minnie, I can tell I cut her out of something. She wasn't a sticker, just some paper. Mad Hatter's Tea Party. This Peter Pan's Flight. This is me getting a little decorative with the background paper. Go me. I drew the little boat and did the little Jolly Roger pirate flag. Cinderella's Carousel. You can see I did a lot of hand lettering on my titles. I had just a couple of ABC stickers. I had some handouts about how to do hand lettering, and so I did a lot of that hand lettering. These are all Mrs. Grossman's. I must have drawn the train tracks by hand. Again, some of those CM scissors. We had breakfast in the castle at Cinderella's. I used these kind of shimmery, iridescent stickers. Looking back now, I totally hate them. But there you have it. I do like how I copied, this was our menu from the restaurant, and I copied this little stained glass effect on here and did it around these edges. So I just did a black line with little lines to break them apart. And that was pretty creative for me back in the day. I was probably inspired by this little pat of butter that they molded into the shape of Mickey Mouse. When we went back to Cinderella's Royal Table several years later, I was sad to find out that they no longer mold the butter into the shape of Mickey Mouse. Splash Mountain here, you can see I'm getting a little creative and doing some things, some little paper cutting of the briars from Splash Mountain and the Briar Patch. And Kim over here by the Laughing Place sign. Still not a lot of journaling. Here's the ride photo, which I purchased. And then I wrote whatever it was on the little folder that you get your ride photo on, H2O plus 45-degree angle. Just, you know, I copied that rather than use that as a, put that in the album. Brer Fox and Brer Bear. So here's my little Briars. Big Thunder Mountain. Again, I had this paper from that hot off the press book, and I used it frugally because I was able to make it go a couple places. Here's poor me feeling sick after I forgot to take Dramamine. So Big Thunder's not, it's about the height of my limit. We went over to Tom Sawyer Island. Look how cute my little hand letter board alphabet is. Some fussy cutting. It was really, I was used to scrapbooking in 8.5 by 11 at that time, but this looks like about the time when the standard photo size switched to be 4 by 6 from 3 by 5. And it was a lot harder to scrapbook in 8.5 by 11 when pictures got bigger. So here's just some characters. I think this was on like a, I don't know if you get film developed or something at Disney, but I cut this out of that, and this is off some, again, probably some of that same paper. It was different then, you know, we just kind of randomly saw characters out and about, and you just don't see that anymore. We saw lots of characters. Oh, we're in the arcade, and they had one of the games turned on for free play, riding the Tomorrowland Transit Authority. This was the Remember the Magic Parade. I don't know how many of you have been around CM for a long time, but I remember this being a thing that you would draw little pen borders around your photos in lieu of mats. So all of these kind of have a different, like a little scallop, little circles, little squiggly lines, and what we affectionately now call a sticker sneeze of these confetti stickers. That actually kind of, if you're going to use a sticker sneeze, a Disney parade is probably the place to use it. Tomorrowland Speedway, again, some decorative scissors, and this is a cut picture, and then these are little Mrs. Grossman stickers. Oh, no, they're down here. So, very different style than I do now, but very fun. Lots of creativity. Apparently, I bought a Mickey punch, but I had to cut out around it because it didn't have its own circle. Some ice cream sandwiches, imaginary dogs. Here we went to the Hall of Fame, and I tried to do a little border with some arrows. Again, we got the sticker sneeze kind of going on. We got some cutout pictures of people floating in midair. But you know, looking at this picture, it's making me happy. Even though as a scrapbooker, I'm noticing some of the things that I would do differently scrapbooking, actual photos and the actual memories still make me really happy. Breakfast with Pooh at the Crystal Palace. Yes, this is when I had very short hair and I was somewhat slimmer than I am now, so that's nice to see. We had a fun breakfast with Pooh at Crystal Palace. And then we tried on all these hats, which, you know, really is probably not all that hygienic, but we always do it. We don't buy the hats, we just wear them, take a picture, and put them back. So, sorry, everybody. Spectro Magic. Oh, I loved the Spectro Magic Nighttime Parade. Here I had my metallic pen. Go me, and just, you know, again, these are probably cut with those tracing templates that we used to do, Spectrum Magic Parade. Again, I'm not sure what I was thinking when I left these pages blank. This is probably between Magic Kingdom and whatever our next park was. Oh yeah, there you go, Blizzard Beach. So this was a bumper sticker, I remember that, and if I'd had a 12 by 12 album, I could have just left it plain, but instead I cut it and overlapped it and then cut stuff out of the park maps. We did have our little underwater camera that we've had a lot of fun with. Actually, these were probably those disposable underwater cameras. We have a real one now that probably doesn't work because I haven't used it in years, but it was fun to have a water camera that we could take. This again was with those Borderlines rulers and some little Mrs. Grossman stickers. Kind of sticker sneezy, not too bad. But boy, I was not as good at cutting circles and ovals as I thought I was. All right, Summit Plummet. This is from the park map, or one of the guidebooks or something, this background. And then I had our little pictures that I took with my little water camera. Boy, that's some bright yellow green paper. Steamboat Springs. This was our favorite ride in all of Walt Disney World. On the whole trip, this ride was our favorite. And I think you can kind of see how much we loved it just from looking at the pictures in here. It was a lot of fun. As you know, my son Alex now, I think he was 11 in this picture. More Blizzard Beach. I got to use some snow. The kids were in the little kid play area. And then this is rides from one of the slides. I don't know which one. No journaling. See, I can't tell you about stuff. Oh, we went to the luau at the Polynesian. This is the only time we've ever been to that show at the Polynesian. I said for being a couple thousand miles away from Hawaii, they do a good job. I just remember it being really expensive and it being a really big tip that we were expected to leave that waitress when most of the money we paid for was for show. But, you know, they gave us a little map. I got some memorabilia in here. And the sticker sneeze, I think, is toned down a little bit because I did it kind of in like a flower lay pattern. And then back when it was called Downtown Disney, they had these big giant statues of Mickey and Minnie. This is the Goofy's Candy Company. It's made out of Jelly Bellies. Again, trying on some hats, some different characters, and all this kind of World of Disney stuff. I don't think Alice is still here. This is cut out of a park map. This isn't a picture I took. These are pictures I took. And then the Lego store, that little Lego sea snake is still there. We love looking at that still when we go. But I think they've changed a lot of the other Lego characters they have out on the side. And then dinner at the Rainforest Cafe. And here it says So Party of 5. Your adventure will take you to the Gorilla Room. This is one of those things that, like the heat receipt thing, and it has really, really faded. I don't even know if you can see it on the camera. I may need to do something about that to save that image so that it can be seen later on. This is us at the Rainforest Cafe. All right, so volume 1, I'm gonna keep going with volume 2. Hopefully we'll make it through okay. I don't think this is worth 2 videos to do this little old school album flashback. So I did not do a title page for my second album. Don't know why, because it wasn't a thing for me then. And you can see that this book got wet. And these are top loading page protectors. And I don't know how it got wet. This is the only page I think that's really ruined. I guess we'll find out. But it did bleed through. And I'm pretty sure that these pens were from some Stampin' Up! Pens. And they did not claim to be permanent. And I didn't think that it would matter. And then it got wet and it kind of matters. So again, someday when I redo this, I may want to, you know, make sure I use a permanent pen. I did draw the monorail and I'm really pleased with that. That would be hard if I were to transfer this into a bigger book. We got our little co-pilot license. This is when they let you ride in the front, which they unfortunately no longer do, but that's how you can get this cool Epcot picture right behind you. So here's Epcot. Again, I used the map, but I divided it into 2 pieces. So this is the Living Seas, the land. This is when Wonders of Life was still a thing. And, you know, there's no PhotoPass pictures, really. I mean, I guess they didn't have PhotoPass as a thing. So I don't have the picture of us the first time we were at Epcot in front of Spaceship Earth. But I have some fun pictures. I wrote that this giant ball sells for $250. We really liked it, and I think we're tempted by it in spite of the crazy price, but we didn't buy it. So this was the Wonders of Life Pavilion. This was back over here next to, this was called Horizons. It says Test Track opening in '98. So this is before we went to Test Track. Mission Space wasn't there. But in the Wonders of Life, this is, they call it like the Festival Center or something now, but it was like all healthy things. And they had this x-ray machine that was like, you stood on it and it made like a picture of an x-ray. And I was working on an ABC scrapbook and I really needed some things for X. So I made everybody get an X picture of the x-ray. Over here, the Living Seas. Obviously this one got a little bit wet too on the top. Not as bad. This was a CM pen and it didn't bleed like the Stampin' Up! Pen. And that is not a dig against Stampin' Up! Pens. They do not make their pens to be archival because they are stamping. They're not scrapbooking. So here's a few little fish stickers. Oh, yep, there you go. Whatever it was I used. I haven't looked at this in a while. I have no idea when this water damage happened. I'm seeing that the pages, themselves are a little bit discolored. Yeah, makes me sad. Make sure you're using safe stuff that isn't gonna bleed if it gets wet. And keep those page protectors on. This must have had something spill down from the top. So here we are in the Land Pavilion. This is long before Soarin' was a thing. It was just living with the land. Oh, breakfast at the Garden Grill. That's that revolving restaurant. That was fun to have Mickey and Chip and Dale. My poor sister was riding backwards and she got a little motion sick from the spinny restaurant. So we don't eat there anymore. This was an NBC exhibit in Innoventions East. Innoventions is something that they change the exhibits out a lot. So this is no longer there. But they like digitally put you in on a TV screen. And so Katie and Kim went on the Tonight Show with Jay Leno. Alex got to be a guest reporter for NBC Sports. So that was kind of fun. And I had these little fun pictures. So the Art of Disney Art Gallery was upstairs. I can't remember where it was. Again, I didn't journal. I think this was up above one of the gift shops, but I don't remember where it was. But this cool Mickey statue, $8,000. I didn't even look at the price on this chair, but isn't that cute? I do love Mickey, and Alex really likes Donald Duck. So apparently I had this little Mickey punch because I used it, and we're getting, you know, some of these are a little bit more decorative than others, but I sure did a lot of plain pages here. And poor Kim, we told her that she, you know, the guidebook said wear sneakers, but Kim is my younger sister and had been living in Hawaii, and she needed to wear some flip-flops, which in Hawaii we call slippers. So I called her Kim the slipper girl right here. I looked down at them from above up here in the gift shop. Epcot After Dark. This picture of Kim and me is one of my very, very favorites. And then I love this one where we have the matching sweatshirts. I think this is when we developed our family's habit of having matching shirts at Disney at some point. And then these little lights in the pavement outside of Innoventions, they're still one of my favorite things. And I always make sure that we stop at the little lights and say hello. And if I could figure out how to put them in my own driveway, I would do it. Or my kitchen floor. All right. So this one, I called it the Fountain of Youth. I said it made us all feel young. That was my creativity. We did have fun, even the big kids playing in the little kids fountain. I said it was a fun break. It says we're so cool, but the so got out of there. It said the weather was perfect. It was cool in the mornings, then warm by afternoon. And so the cooling off areas weren't crowded, but they're still pretty refreshing. And so we did like having those as an option. The jumping fountain outside of Honey, I Shrunk the Audience, which I don't even know what's there now. We gave everybody some money. Each of the kids got a $30 stuffed animal allowance. Alex and Katie got 2 little ones, and Kim went for the big one. So that's kind of a thing that we did. This, I think, was a single sticker. So this is a little bit more decorative than some of my other pages. But these two must have been, I think it was one of those big square Mrs. Grossman stickers. So cute. Alex loves his Goofy and his Pooh. So here's World Showcase, the other half of the map. There's Mexico, just some random pictures of us at World Showcase. Norway, it says rubbing the troll's nose is supposed to bring good luck. They had a little troll guy in Norway. Apparently his name was Gargi. Somehow I wrote that. And Nolka was the other. So we loved the Maelstrom ride, had fun. And the kids were doing those KidCot fun stops. And this is before they did the mask or the bear. So each KidCot fun stop was a different project. And here they made these little tiny trolls out of a cork. I don't know if you can see. But so I have a picture of them with their little cork trolls that they made. Off we went to China. I tried to make this little Chinese lattice just with paper. I think we probably have 20 years worth of pictures of these little Chinese hats and eating with chopsticks. And that was what the KidCot fun stop was, learn to eat with chopsticks. And my grandma had these plates, these very same Chinese plates. So that was a fun thing to think about for her. So here's the Germany pavilion. Again, I used that Borderlines ruler, and I had some little coin stickers that we threw into the fountain. Biergarten German restaurant. We did not know at this time that we were going to be moving to Germany the next year, but my my mother had lived in Germany for a while, and so she used to make German food for us, and I love German food. So we went and ate there, and this has become one of our very, very favorite restaurants. We eat at the Beer Garden almost every time we go to Disney, and in fact have had our picture taken by this same water wheel on more than one occasion, and watched the same little Oktoberfest band. So it's one of our favorites, and it's kind of an autumn theme, so I use the autumn leaf punch. Then this is the little train village, and it talks about, you know, the romantic road between Germany and Italy. And it starts, one side is in Würzburg, which again is a place we discovered in real life when we went to Germany just a year later. Here's Italy. I said there wasn't much to do, but we had a refreshment break and got some Italian ice. American Adventure. I'm pretty sure this one was also a Creative Memories idea that I got from my friend Lynn, who was my Creative Memories consultant back then, because it just looks a little bit more put together than some of the stuff I had done. But again, lots of decorative scissors and those sticker letters. And I probably had to hand draw these stars and cut them out because they're not quite symmetrical. I don't think they were from a template. So they have these interesting wandering around birds, probably near the Africa Pavilion, I guess. Chirikili, I don't know. But they gave us this little souvenir card, and the bird that came up and handed it to Alex, like it was in its mouth, and it handed it to him, and I saved it. So I have a history of saving memorabilia from Disney that goes all the way back. Here's Japan. My kids were not into like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! None of that stuff was in yet, so we didn't really know how much they were going to like the Japan Pavilion. But you can see I just didn't do very much. Either I didn't do very much with the backgrounds or I did too much. This is Morocco. I had these little jewels because they had one of those things where you could, you know, however many jewels you could fit in a little drawstring bag for $10, or it was probably $5 back then. So I have that picture with the girls and the jewels, and use that kind of to put some little jewel stickers on here. And then here I used the little fleur-de-lis with Belle and Quasimodo. Remember him? I don't think we've seen him at a Disney park in a long time. France is easy because the French flag is a simple graphic bold design, and I think it worked cute for this. But again, most of my pictures are just kind of floating out there in space. Lots of trimmed around, you know, silhouetted pictures to make them fit better. More France. Oh, they had one of those statues. That was fun. And I said, naturally, the kids' stop in France was painting. Do you think Monet started this way? So here's Alex and Katie with their little paintings from France. Next, we went to United Kingdom. They had tons of characters. All the Winnie the Pooh things, White Rabbit, Alice, Alice, Mary Poppins. So that was fun. And one of the things we love about Disney is seeing the characters. And for whatever reason, it was easy to find Pooh stickers. Canada. I think that this was also like a paper menu that I cut out and used as my background for this Canada page. And it was probably 8.5 by 11. And so I trimmed, you know, some of this and put that on. It was really a challenge sometimes to find creative things to add to my albums back in the day. So I love this picture. My husband had to lie down on the ground to get the whole totem pole in the picture. These caramel apples we bought in Canada in 1997 were the best we've ever had. We've talked about them many, many times since then. We have tried to buy caramel apples at Disney. They're just not as good. These were like the perfect caramel apple. So I used a little apple punch. I don't even know where I had these punches. This was not, CM was not selling stuff like this back then. I must have bought them on, you know, Oriental Trading Company or something. No internet, so who knows where I bought them. But it was fun to use those. And you just looking at this picture right now, there was a good like ½ inch of caramel on that apple. It was delectable. All right, then we went to the Disney Mgm Studios way back in the day. A lot smaller than it is now. We had the Earful Tower. Again, no photo pass. So we don't have a picture of us in front of the Chinese theater. But we have a few other little pictures. Katie in front of some balloons. Little Katie, who was only like 9. So we do have a picture of us in front of the thing. it is kind of faded a little bit in color. Interesting. But this was one I had to buy. You know, I had to buy it and carry it around. But of course I did, because I was a scrapbooker. Hollywood and Vine. I happen to remember that I wanted to do this sign white on black, and this is actually white out. I drew it in pencil and I painted it. Remember, white out came in those little bottles with a little paintbrush, and so I made my painted sign with white out. So if you've ever whited out something back in the 1990s, it's probably still whited out, because that has held out okay. So Hollywood Vine says the cafeteria of the stars. And I said this man was a wandering actor whose apparent job was to irritate people. Alex played along and managed to beat him at his own game. So go Alex. New York Street. I think this is still there. We always tease Kim. We love this picture of her in front of the police car. And here's a big giant at. Who would have known that this was going to be coming to the studios 20 some odd years later? So that's fun. Just random pictures from the backlot area of the studios. Goosebumps Horrorland Fright Show. So this was over there, kind of toward by where Lights Motors Action is now. Kind of back. Oh boy, I can't even see. Back here somewhere. Toward the backlot tour. Anyway, it was back over there. And Alex loved Goosebumps. And so I had to watch this little live stage show. It was pretty lame, and the funhouse wasn't much better, I said, but Alex enjoyed it and nobody got scared. And then this picture, my husband is just a ham, and so he wanted to pose under this giant steamroller, and don't worry, it was not actually on his legs. All right, the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids playground we loved. We had a great time with, and I had fun like making some giant mushrooms and bugs and grass. And my favorite thing at the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids was this giant roll of film, and it was like a slide, but the lighting wasn't very good, and this is a film camera, and so I didn't really have the ability to digitally enhance this picture like I would have done to make it a little bit better. But this is the fun little Honey, I Shrunk the Kids playground. Indiana Jones stunt show is still there. Hercules and Meg. Meg is Katie's favorite princess to this day. I don't think she's actually a princess, but she's her favorite. But this is the only time we've ever met Hercules and Meg. And you can see I tried to use kind of that old-fashioned Greeky writing. Tower of Terror. Kim, Princeton, and Katie rode the tower twice. Alex only did it the second time, and Nicole never. I don't even like real elevators when I don't expect them to drop. But we did get a picture with some of the little guards. We ate at the Sci-Fi Dine-In, even though the guidebook said that it wasn't the best food. We had a fun time. And the kids got their kid meals served on a Frisbee, which we might have that Frisbee somewhere, and then a napkin. We did the backstage tour. Apparently I didn't take very many pictures on the backstage tour, but there you go. Oh, this was film. This is all a film camera. I took 40 rolls of film on this trip, and that was a ton. So here we go, Sleeping Beauties. This is everybody sleeping back at the hotel. And then our last day, we went to Medieval Times, the only non-Disney thing we did. One of our friends had told us how much he liked that, and so we did go to Medieval Times. And so pretty much the same. I just did all of it on the blue with kind of the black and white. Here's some little princessy stuff. Ours was the black and white champion. Watch the show. And that's the end of our Disney trip. So I had forgotten until almost all the way through this that this was a film when we went on film. And I remember coming home from the trip and taking my 40 rolls of film to get developed and just thinking that was like the craziest thing ever. 40 rolls of 24 exposure film. That's like, I don't know, I can't even do that math in my head. Whatever 24 times 40 is, I thought that was like an insane amount of pictures, and it took 2 albums to fit it in, and now I probably take that much of the fireworks. So I hope you had fun flipping through my way, way old school very first Disney album with me. I had fun looking at it. I I'm glad that my scrapbooking style has evolved, but I'm really glad that I scrapbooked these pictures at all when I did, so that I have them to flip through and to remember our first, what was going to be once and only trip to Walt Disney World. So thank you so much. I'll be back soon with another technique idea or another album flip through or some current products. And I hope that wherever you are, you're having a good time scrapbooking and making memories for things to scrapbook in the future. Thanks a lot. Happy scrapbooking.